Have you ever found a coin that looks simple at first, but the symbols on it seem to tell a much bigger story? Today, we are looking at a fascinating old coin featuring the number 786, a large crescent-like symbol in the center, and a circle of 5 pointed stars around the edge. The design immediately connects the coin with the rich artistic and religious traditions of South Asia. But there is an important point to make before we begin. From a single photograph, the exact issuing authority, denomination, and date of this particular piece cannot be confirmed with certainty. The design is not the standard appearance of a modern Pakistani circulation coin. Similar 786 and crescent pieces are documented among Indian and South Asian objects, including coins associated with the old princely and Nawab era tradition. So rather than inventing a specific date or ruler, let us explore the history and symbolism that make this unusual piece so interesting. The number 786. The first feature that catches the eye is the number 786. In parts of South Asia, 786 has traditionally been used as a numerical representation of the Arabic phrase commonly known as the Bismillah, in the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful. The association comes from the traditional al-Shari system, in which Arabic letters are assigned numerical values. When the letters of the phrase are calculated according to this traditional system, the total is commonly given as 786. Because of this cultural association, 786 became extremely familiar throughout India, Pakistan, and neighboring regions. It has appeared on documents, signs, decorative objects, jewelry, manuscripts, and various forms of religious and cultural art. However, it is important to understand that 786 is not itself a denomination. Seeing 786 on an object does not automatically mean that the object is a 786-unit coin. This is especially important for collectors. A number appearing prominently on an old-looking object does not necessarily tell us its monetary value or date. The crescent and stars. The second striking feature is the large crescent-shaped design in the center. The crescent and star have a long history across the Islamic world. Over centuries, these symbols appeared in architecture, flags, manuscripts, decorative arts, military insignia, and coin designs. In South Asian coinage, the crescent and star were particularly common because Muslim rulers often used Islamic imagery to express political authority, religious identity, and cultural tradition. The stars surrounding the central design add another interesting visual element. They create a decorative border and give the coin a strongly symbolic appearance. The combination of 786, crescent imagery, and stars is therefore much more than random decoration. It reflects a visual language that developed across centuries of Islamic and South Asian culture. The Nawab and princely state tradition. One of the most interesting clues comes from the broader history of Indian princely state coinage. Before Indian independence, the subcontinent contained numerous princely states ruled by local monarchs, Nawabs, Maharajas, and other hereditary authorities. These states often issued their own coins. Their coin designs could combine local traditions with Persian, Arabic, Urdu, Islamic, and British imperial influences. A documented example comes from the princely state of Tonk, where coins issued under Nawab Muhammad Sa'adat Ali Khan combined Islamic symbolism, Urdu inscriptions, local state imagery, and dates from the Hijri and Gregorian calendars. One copper piece of Tonk, for example, carried a crescent and star together with other symbols and inscriptions. This demonstrates why identifying an old South Asian coin purely from one symbol can be difficult. Similar visual ideas were used by different rulers and authorities. The coin in our photograph may belong to this wider cultural world, but the exact attribution requires seeing the other side, measuring the coin, checking its weight, and reading all of the inscriptions. Pakistan and the evolution of coinage. The symbolism also has a strong connection with the later history of Pakistan. When Pakistan became independent in 1947, it initially continued using currency inherited from British India. The State Bank of Pakistan explains that Pakistan did not immediately have its own complete coinage system. Existing currency continued circulating until new Pakistani issues were produced. Pakistan's early national coins introduced distinctive designs featuring Urdu inscriptions, the crescent and star, and the name of the new country. Over time, Pakistani coins went through several design changes. The country eventually adopted decimal currency, with the rupee divided into 100 paisas. For example, Pakistani 1 paisa coins of the 1960s were official circulation coins. They were small, round pieces and were produced in bronze and later nickel-brass varieties. They were part of the country's decimal currency system and were eventually demonetized in 2014. But the coin shown in our photograph does not match those standard 1960s 1 paisa designs. That distinction is important. Why identification is difficult? Coin identification is much more complicated than simply recognizing a crescent or a number. Professional collectors normally examine several characteristics. First is the diameter. Second is the weight. Third is the metal composition. Fourth is the edge. The edge might be plain, reeded, lettered, or decorated. Fifth is the complete inscription. And finally, collectors compare the design with established catalog references. A photograph showing only one side can provide valuable clues, but it cannot always establish the exact identity. That is why collectors should be careful when somebody claims that an unusual coin is automatically rare or worth a huge amount simply because it has the number 786. The importance of condition. Condition is another major factor. The coin shown here has visible wear. The raised stars have softened in places, and some of the surface details are difficult to read. That wear itself tells us something about the object's history. A coin or token that circulated for many years could have passed through thousands of hands. It might have been carried in a pocket, exchanged in a marketplace, stored in a household, or kept as a personal object. Every scratch and worn letter can therefore be part of the object's journey. For collectors, however, heavy wear usually makes precise identification more difficult and can reduce the market value compared with a well-preserved example. A cultural object as well as a coin. One of the most fascinating things about pieces like this is that they sit at the boundary between money, art, and culture. Coins have never been only about buying and selling. Governments have used them to communicate power. Rulers placed their names on coins. Kingdoms displayed symbols of authority. Religious and cultural imagery appeared alongside dates and denominations. Even when a coin became obsolete, the images could survive as historical evidence. That is why a small piece of metal can tell us about language, religion, politics, technology, trade, and everyday life. What 786 means to collectors. For modern collectors, the number 786 makes this type of object particularly interesting. But collectors should separate cultural significance from numismatic rarity. A piece can be culturally fascinating without being extremely valuable. Likewise, an ordinary-looking coin can sometimes be very valuable because of a rare date, mint, variety, error, or extremely low mintage. The value of the piece in our photograph cannot responsibly be determined from the image alone. An expert would want to inspect both sides and confirm its measurements, metal, inscriptions, and provenance. Final thoughts. So, what can we say about this mysterious coin? It clearly belongs to a visual tradition strongly associated with the Islamic and South Asian world. The prominent 786, crescent-like central symbol, and surrounding stars make it an intriguing object. Historical records show that 786 has been associated with Islamic cultural traditions in South Asia, while crescent and star designs appeared widely on coins and other objects. Indian princely states also produced distinctive coinage combining local identity with Islamic and regional artistic traditions. At the same time, we should not claim a precise date, denomination, or ruler without stronger evidence. And perhaps that uncertainty is part of what makes old coins so exciting. Every worn inscription is a mystery. Every symbol is a clue. Every scratch may represent a forgotten journey.